Good morning, guys. First of all, very, very windy today with bright sunshine. It's the 28th of November and here we are in central Ontario. And let me tell you what we're going to do today. First of all, we're on quite a hike. And there's a reason for that, two reasons for that. One is it's going to take us to a location that we want to photograph. There's two locations. One is a pond, one is a pond with a couple of trees around it with no leaves on, of course, this time of year. And I'm kind of thinking of a reflection shot, although in this wind, I doubt it. A few kilometers past there, we come to a red barn. I've shot this red barn before. I like the red barns. You'll know I like barns, and especially red ones, if you've watched some of my other videos. But I shot that about a year ago, and this year's selling season for images, that image sold very well for me. So I want to see if I can improve on that. So that's what we're actually photographing today. The hike itself is down this country lane or country road. It's quite hilly, quite a challenge. I'm also trying out a new backpack. Now the backpack I've got was to satisfy a particular need. Up to this point I've had two separate backpacks. One for all my DSLR gear and lenses and so on, the other for my drone. And quite often I get to the top of some mountain thinking to myself, ooh, I wish I had the drone with me today. So I searched and I looked and I asked questions and I put it out there on YouTube that I was looking for a backpack that would carry all my DSLR gear and my drone. And that's a Phantom 3 series, so it's a larger drone. It's not a Mavic. I'm not that rich, not that lucky yet. And several responses came back, several videos came back, and I looked at them all. And I could spend anywhere from 600 Canadian dollars down to 50 Canadian dollars. Well, I actually picked one. The bag I picked is called the Utility Max Pro 2, and believe it or not, delivered to my door was 80 Canadian dollars. It only arrived yesterday. This is the first day actually using this backpack, but it's fully loaded. Right now, I've got this backpack loaded with about 30 pounds of photography gear. Pretty much everything I could ever possibly need, and then some, for any kind of landscape photography and YouTube video vlog. So this is really a maiden voyage. This is one of the reasons, or the second reason, why I'm doing this particular hike. After a couple of hours or so, I want to feel how this bag feels on my back, fully loaded like this, and how it holds up and so on. And you know what, in time, once I've had it a while, tried it out for a bit, I will do a review on this bag, because for the price point, it was a great price. The quality, I'm going to say it's okay. It's not a $400 or $500 bag, but it seems okay quality wise, and it did fit everything I needed. So yeah, let's see what happens. So, Gary here with Gary Clayton Photography, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's go. As I mentioned earlier, we're in high winds and we're in bright sunshine. But having said that, along this hike, I stopped. Here's a laneway. This is a country laneway. Now, you can see a naked tree on the left, you can see a tall pine on the right, and a small red-roofed barn. And I thought to myself, you know what? I really, really like what I'm seeing there. I'd like to see a little more character in the sky, but I don't have that today, so that's fine. So this is what we're working with. I just did capture 3 or 4 handheld shots. I used my Canon 5D Mark II, my 28 to 135mm lens. I had an ISO of 100, an f-stop of f11, which gave me a shutter speed of about 1/250th of a second. It's very bright out. Hey, let's have a look. Let's see what we got there. I'm going to put that up now. If we got anything, take a look. Okay, so yeah, we're going to continue with this hike. We're only a couple of kilometers into this 12-kilometer hike. So far the backpack seems to be working out great. It's very comfortable, but we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. Let's continue. The next stop will be the pond. Maybe there'll be something else. Let's see. Okay guys, so we're at the pond. Now, as far as the reflections go, there are reflections in the water, but again, it's like 30-kilometer winds. We're sat down a little bit low here, but we're still getting quite a bit of disturbance on the water. And there is a hint of frost or ice, just a tickle of ice along that water. That's helping it stay smooth, by the way. So yeah, so we've set up here. We're just off that country road. We've set up, we're on the tripod. Again, I'm using my Canon 5D Mark II, my 28:1 35mm lens. I'm on a tripod and I have a cable release attached. Now, I have a focal length of 40mm. I have an f-stop of f11. I have an ISO of 100, and that's giving me 1/50th of a second shutter speed. I do have my polarizer on there. Let's take that shot. Okay, there it is. You know what, if it's any good at all, remotely, I'll post it right now and you can have a look. Okay, so I'm going to look here a little bit more, then I'm going to repack the gear and carry on hiking down to the Red Barn. By the way, just a little note here. I do like the Mavic drone, by the way, but I can't afford one. I use a Phantom 3 Standard, which I use all the time, and in all truthfulness, for the last 2 years I've had this drone. Except for some minor software problems here and there, it's been an amazing drone. By the way, the software problem stopped about 6 months ago when I stopped downloading the firmware updates. But anyhow, I just thought I'd mention that. But one of the drawbacks to that particular drone is the props come off. And you take the props off when you put it away, which I did. And as you know now, I'm using this new bag, and I packed everything up, and I got here, and I got the drone out, and I got the remote control turned on, and I got my cell phone turned on. I got it all connected up, and I realized I left the props back at the studio in the drone bag. That's one of the drawbacks of a Phantom 3 series. The props come off. The Mavic, they stay on. That's great. Another reason to save my pennies, get the Mavic. But anyhow, doesn't matter. It just means we have to come back. Let's carry on here. Let's pack up this gear. Let's get going. Let's get to that Red Barn. Well, we've now made it to the barn. So we're 6 kilometers into the hike, and so far that backpack, by the way, is working out pretty good, comfortable. Strong headwind, 30-kilometer headwind right off the nose. It's been a challenge. Going back will be easier. Out there in the distance, you can now see, or hopefully you can, the Red Barn. This is the one that was so successful for me this year in this selling season. So you know what? Before we go any further, I'm going to pop up right now the image that sold twice for me in the 2017 selling season of this barn. Take a look. Okay, so that's the image that sold very well for me, and it will continue to do so, I'm sure, and I'll continue to offer it. But today we're back here simply just to, you know, I'm not saying we're going to fix what's broken. I'm just saying we just keep trying to do better. Not to mention it's a great day to be out here. So yeah, so we're set up on the tripod. Again, I've got my L bracket. I've got my Canon 5D Mark II. I've got my 28:1 35mm lens. Right now I'm showing about a 105mm on the focal length. I have a ISO of 100, I have an f-stop of f11, and I have a shutter speed of 1/160th of a second for what the camera tells me is a correct exposure. I have a 2-second timer. There's the image. Now, what I'm going to also do, and I usually do this manually, I know I don't have to, but I do. I am going to do another shot I'm going to take that to 1 stop under. And back to 1 stop over. Man, this wind is wild. 2-second timer. So there I have 3 manually bracketed shots that I'm going to look at maybe creating an HDR image with, but we'll see. So yeah, there you go. That's it. Right now, we're going to pack up this gear. We're going to head back the 6-kilometer hike back to the car. Should be pretty easy. The wind will behind us, and it's 99% downhill going, coming back. So that'll be great. Hey, let's continue. Well, we're back at the car. The backpack did a fine job. It was comfortable. I liked the way the straps felt. So far, so good. As far as the images, hey, we're heading back to the studio now, so we're going to know shortly how we made out. The hike itself was great. Uphill, headwind all the way there, coming back, tailwind and downhill. Fine. You know, the fundamentals of photography have been the same essentially since the beginning of time. We write with, we capture, we manipulate light. The gear we use, well, that's constantly evolving. And we evolve as photographers with that, and our gear gets upgraded and so on. But do keep in mind, photography's been the same since, well, the beginning of photography. The basics, the fundamentals, it's always the same. Hey, let's go back to the studio. Let's process and develop some of these images. Let's take a look, and let's see what you think. Hope you enjoy them. Have a great day. Bye-bye.